All right, one last time for now before I upload these 3 review videos for U.S. History A. Oh, my bad. I'm in World History B. U.S. History. Here we go. U.S. History. Same concept, people. All right, join me live today from 2 to 2:30 p.m. Office hours 2:30 to 4 p.m. Book an appointment. I've given you reviews for lessons 1, 2, and 3, lessons 4, 5, and semi-6. I'm going to give you a review for lessons 6, 7, 8, and 9. As always, I am going to jump to my whiteboard, where I will write with my finger because my mouse sometimes is not nice about this. Okay, so let's go from 1848 through 1877. This is our U.S. History Review número 3, right? Number 3. Okay, years here. We'll do 1849. We'll do 1852, 1857, 1860. Sure. 1861 through 1865. Then we'll do 13, 14, and 15, and then lastly we'll do 1865 through 1877. All right, here we go. Let's do this. So, in 1849, after the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, or the end of the Mexican-American War, there's actually a gold rush in California, the California Gold Rush. They find gold and people start moving from across the country to try and get rich quick, not just from across the country, but they're coming in from all over the place, right? Immigration is typically based on geography, right? So, whoops, if you're coming in from the South, you're probably a Mexican or Latin American or Caribbean immigrant. If you're coming in from the East, you're probably a European or African immigrant. Coming in from the West, and you're typically an Asian or Pacific Islander immigrant, right? So there is an influx of Mexicans and Asians into California, not so much, right, Europeans, but they do make it out there. In 1852, pause here, in 1850, we get the Compromise of 1850. You guys remember the Compromise of 1820? Right? They drew a line across the country, slaves, no slaves. Well, California was divided by that line. They couldn't have it, so they did away with it. And they essentially told people you can vote for slavery if you want it. So a whole bunch of people pour into Kansas to vote. We will end up getting from this what is known as Bleeding Kansas, as we will have a mini civil war in the state of Kansas on whether the territory should be free or slave. The U.S. military is actually called in to break this up. It gets really bad. In 1857, the United States Supreme Court will pass judgment on Dred Scott v. Sanford. Dred Scott Sanford, I think it's Sand. Dred Scott is a slave. He goes north with his master. He passes this 1820 line, so he's technically free. He comes back south with his master. He's technically a slave again. His master dies. Dred Scott, once his master dies, sues for his freedom, claiming because he was in the north, he's technically free. The U.S. government will end up saying, no, Dred Scott, you were a slave the whole time. You are property, and property cannot sue. In 1857, the United States government will legalize slavery. This will start this North versus South differences. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln will be nominated as the Republican candidate for president of the United States. Many are saying he does not want slavery to expand. He says that's not true. The South can keep the slaves, or sorry, many were saying Lincoln wanted to get rid of slavery. That was not true. He said the slaves can stay in the South, but they cannot spread west. Because of this, South Carolina is the first state to secede or break away from the Union, and we get the outbreak of the American Civil War. The most popular battle in the American Civil War is the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863. The reason for this, the capital of Richmond for the South and the capital of Washington, D.C. for the North are only 90 miles apart. So much of the war takes place here. What the South ends up doing, they end up going north to get around the North. The North will see this and they'll head north and meet them in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And so we get the Battle of Gettysburg, July 2nd to July 5th of 1863. In 1865, the war comes to an end at Appomattox Courthouse when the South surrenders, and we get the passing of these Reconstruction Amendments. Reconstruction is a time period from 1865 through 1877. Why? Because the North is helping to rebuild or reconstruct the South. The 13th Amendment will free the slaves. The wars fought over slavery. Yes, difference in economic practices, but the difference is slaves. The 14th Amendment, once these slaves are free, we must make them citizens. So now you are people of this country. And because you're people of this country, you have access and are protected by the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. The most important right that any citizen has in the country is the right to vote. Unfortunately, this was just made for men, as women will receive the right to vote in 1920 with the 19th Amendment. So here we have 3 amendments, 13, 14, and 15. You have 27 amendments to learn for the test. There's always amendment questions on your test. After Reconstruction or during Reconstruction in 1869, we actually get the Transcontinental Railroad. Railroad. We have a railroad that goes from across the country. It's put together in Utah and now goes to California. It's important because railroads are faster, so you get to travel faster, move more cargo, and no longer do you have to travel by foot across the country to get to the West in about 3 to 6 months. You can take a train and get there in a few days. Revolutionary is what it is. We see this railroad boom thanks to the American Civil War, as the Union will start to build more railroads to help things get from place to place, right? So that is your review for U.S. history. I will next jump into Unit 2 after I near-pod these presentations. Be good, be well. I hope you guys enjoyed these quick reviews. Have a good day.